I don't know. Yeah, I don't think they would matter. If he wants to make some money, Floyd want to make some money.
It's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started talk. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It make no sense for me. It's not my what I'm looking at right now.
How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling story, in my opinion.
Mike Tyson has spoken out about the potential matchup between Jake Paul and Francis Ngannou, calling it illogical yet irresistible. He admits it might not be the most balanced fight, but believes it would draw global attention and generate massive revenue. Tyson points out that the unpredictable nature of such a clash is exactly what captivates modern audiences. The unknown outcome between a YouTuber-turned-boxer and a former heavyweight MMA champion. It's not about logic. Tyson reportedly said it's about curiosity. People would pay just to see how it ends. For Tyson, that unpredictability alone makes it one of the most exciting spectacles imaginable.
A big MMA fan. You know, I've been to UFC fights and I see you sitting octagon side. I can't help but wonder if you had gotten into MMA as a young man, as a teenager, instead of boxing, how do you think your career would have went, Mike?
Hey, I had no idea, but I'm really enthused about the MMA, you know, because not thinking, I had no idea that Raphael, who's from a background of MMA, would know so much about boxing. I had no idea, you know, only thing I know about great boxing is the great Ed Joffre, who was a legendary boxer who happened to be Brazilian, but never knowing, just not being conscious that he would know that much about boxing.
Do you think you could have learned all the wrestling moves and the takedown defense and could have been a champion in something like the UFC?
I could have done all that stuff. I could have done all that stuff, but once someone stepped on my foot, I would have tapped out. My feet are my weak.
Francis Ngannou, however, sees things very differently. He considers even the idea of fighting Jake Paul a total insult. Offering me that fight, Ngannou says, is disrespectful to everything I've accomplished. He emphasizes that Jake hasn't earned the right to share a ring with someone who has fought his way to the pinnacle of combat sports. To Ngannou, such offers represent what's wrong with today's fight industry, where entertainment has overshadowed authenticity. This isn't about sport anymore. He adds it's about spectacle, and that's not who I am.
It's about you to fight Jake to replace Gervonta. I'm like, who's Jake? You know, like, I was so confused, you know, like, I wasn't expecting that at all. And he said, yeah, Jake Paul, you know, he's fighting. And I'm like, no, bro, come on. Don't disrespect me like that. And then they even say, like, even come out after and say, and what if the number are good? He sent out some number. I'm like, it's not about the number. If it was about the number, we could have started talk. I would have tell you, I'm not just interested. It make no sense for me. It's not my
Chael Sonnen, the outspoken MMA analyst, reacts to the rumors of Jake Paul facing Ngannou with both amusement and concern. It's not competitive, he says with a grin. It's experimental. Sonnen points out that Tyson Fury, one of boxing's most skilled and toughest heavyweights, was knocked down by a single clean shot from Ngannou. If Fury, who has years of experience and nearly 50 pounds on Jake, could barely survive that punch, Sonnen continues what happens to Jake. He admits Jake's courage and ambition are entertaining, but warns that facing someone like Ngannou isn't just risky, it's dangerous. Jake doesn't have Fury's size, chin, or resilience. Sonnen concludes, if Fury could only take one, I can't imagine Jake taking even that.
The story that Nikista's offering him the fight, but he's just not hearing it that way. Like, all right, you said you need help, and you called me, and I'm happy to help you, but you know what is it that I can do? So when Francis finally realizes it, he not only says no, he says he was offended. He said, Jake, you want me to bite Jake? Jake who? I said, Jake Paul. He said, that makes no sense. That's the last thing I would want to do right now. It's the last thing that I'm looking for. And, all right. Now, that is a good and comical story. And I think that Jake Paul deserves a lot of credit for that. I would have really liked if that match would have gotten booked. I mean, I think that would just solve so many problems from a storyline perspective. And there's this story going on out there that and it has to do with courage. Now, how you ever question a combat athlete's courage, I think, is hard. How you ever question a boxer's courage, right? Where you've only got two things you can do, and they're both involve bludgeoning. You can't even grab a hold of the guy or try to squeeze him. You can only bludgeon and be bludgeoned back. I think you're got an uphill battle to question somebody. But they have been very effective in doing just that to Jake. Hey, you start with this NBA guy, and then even those MMA guys, they're not boxers. And then when you got around to the boxers, but they weren't current boxers. Then when you get around to the current boxers, they're not big enough boxers. And I just loved it. When I heard that Francis Ngannou might be going against Jake, I loved it. I mean, what's that going to look like? How many of those shots from Francis can you take? Tyson Fury, if you're talking clean, Tyson Fury only took one. Everything else, Tyson was able to roll with. Big Francis only had to hit him one time. Like, that's a compelling.
Analysts remind fans that Francis Ngannou isn't just stronger, he's in an entirely different class of athlete. While Gervonta Tank Davis, Jake's previous opponent, is a lightning-fast lightweight. Ngannou is a 260-pound powerhouse built on raw strength and knockout force. Experts say that if Jake truly wants to face Ngannou, he would need to rebuild himself physically and mentally from the ground up. His entire training approach from sparring partners to conditioning would have to change. Fighting. A lightweight demands speed and reflexes. Fighting a heavyweight like Ngannou demands durability, bone density, and the ability to withstand catastrophic impact. This isn't influencer boxing anymore. One trainer said, this is survival training.
Something unique. It would be something incredible. It's the same reason that I would be intrigued by a Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua fight, although I would never advise Jake Paul to take a Anthony Joshua fight. I wouldn't advise him to take a Francis Ngannou fight either, because as much as Anthony is far better, which we saw when they actually fought, Joshua slept Francis Ngannou quicker than me after 2 melatonin. I mean, it was quick, fast, in a hurry, completely dominant. But we also saw Francis Ngannou go toe-to-toe with the heavyweight champion of the world at that time. Yes, he was out of shape. We understand that. But Tyson Fury on that night got the shock of his life when Francis Ngannou not only went toe-to-toe, but put him down and danced on him. To this day, I think that fight could have gone Francis's way. Point being, there are levels to this shit. Not just in boxing, but in combat in general. And the size difference Francis would have over Jake would be incredible, but it would have been a great event, and a lot of people would have tuned in. Francis, though, is saying that's not happening.
How can they go from like Gervonta Davis to Francis Ngannou? Like, I mean, Gervonta Davis is a fantastic boxer, but and is a one-shot knockout artist. But come on, like the weight different and everything, it makes no sense.
It's a good point. I mean, obviously, Francis is right about the weight difference, but it's a good point in general for what do you do next? Jake has sparred guys like Shakur Stevenson, Ray Ford, Montana Love to try to prepare for Tank Davis. And even if you book this fight on December 12th or December 19th, that's still a completely different fight than you were going into. Completely different matchup, size-wise, skill-wise, the things that you're going to need to even try to compete if it's someone like a Francis Ngannou or even an Andre Ward or whoever else, not just the fight style.
Former world champion and boxing analyst Tim Bradley reveals that the cancellation of Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis affected far more than just the fighters, promoters, networks, sponsors. Everyone lost money. Bradley explains the event was projected to generate millions in pay-per-view, sales and sponsorship deals. But Davis' ongoing legal troubles forced networks and advertisers to pull out, fearing association with controversy. Everyone had already spent money on production, logistics, and promotion. Bradley continues, and now all of that is gone. He says the situation exposes how fragile boxing's business side really is. One fighter's reputation can collapse an entire event overnight.
Tank, let's get on Tank real quick. You gotta be the dumbest dude, in the history of boxing, bro. $40 million, dog, down the drain. You gotta be the dumbest dude I've ever seen in the history of boxing, bro. Seriously. I'm like, $40 million, bro. Wealth. Literally wealth, bro. Going down the drain. I don't understand it. I can't make the... I don't understand it. But I'll tell you this. MVP promotions, whatever the hell y'all call it, most valuable promotions, shit, more like rookie promotions. Yeah, more like rookie promotions. You didn't know what you were dealing with. You had no clue. This has always been down Tank's alley, man. Now, let me just say one thing. You innocent until proven guilty. Ain't no charges been pending on Tank at all. But I'm just saying, this has always came up within the last few fights of Tank's career. Yeah, it has. And MVP, more like RP, rookie promotions, yeah, y'all should have had a backup plan. You should have had a backup fighter. Yup. You live and you learn. Oh, absolutely. You live and you learn. You should have had a plan B, just in case this man, Tank Davis, don't show up. Yeah. That's what you should have done. Now you're looking like idiots. I heard through the grapevine the joint wasn't even selling. Yeah, because everybody's tired of your bull crap, Jake Paul. Yeah, everybody's tired of that.
Daniel Cormier, the former UFC heavyweight champion, calls Jake Paul's challenge to Francis Ngannou beyond unrealistic. He reminds fans that boxing and MMA are two completely different worlds requiring distinct timing, stamina, and instincts. Jake's never fought a real professional boxer. Cormier says most of his opponents have been retired, fighters, celebrities, or MMA guys past their prime. And now he wants Ngannou, a man who almost beat Tyson Fury in a boxing ring. Cormier questions Jake's motives, suggesting it's more about viral headlines than competition. He warns that Ngannou's power legendary, even by MMA standards, becomes even more lethal in boxing gloves. Jake doesn't understand the danger he's asking for. Cormier cautions.
Right? Boxing is much different than mixed martial arts. The target audience might be the same, but the demographics different. The places where people are brought up are different. There's bigger entourages in boxing. It's just a different world in boxing. We've known that from the very beginning. We know that Gervonta Davis was not going to just play to Jake Paul's rules. I still don't know exactly why this thing is falling apart, but it is falling apart bad. It is bursting at the seams. We are almost exactly where we should have never started. This should have never gotten started, but it did. But we are almost now exactly where we need to be in the fight, and that's it being off. It being off. So, the CEO of Most Valuable Productions is a guy named Nikisa Badarian. He said, our team has worked closely with all parties to navigate the situation responsibly. While we will not be moving forward with this event, our plan still remains for Jake to headline on Netflix in 2025. Details regarding a new date, location, a new opponent, and additional bouts will be shared as soon as they are finalized. So, Gervonta Davis is out of the fight. Like I said, guys, we honestly should have never had a fight. We should have never had that fight even on the docket, but it was happening. You knew it had potential to be a nightmare. It turned out to be exactly what we...
MVP Promotions and Netflix have now officially confirmed what many suspected: the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis fight is canceled. The Netflix event will still go forward, but Jake will face a new opponent. Analyst Ariel Helwani praised Netflix's move. as responsible and ethical, noting that the platform couldn't risk promoting a fighter facing multiple accusations of misconduct. They made the right call. Helwani says, "You can't build your first global boxing event around controversy." He adds that, by considering replacements like Ngannou or Ryan Garcia MVP and Netflix are trying to protect both the hype and their brand integrity. For Davis, however, this cancellation marks a severe blow to his career. It sends a clear message. The boxing world won't wait for his redemption.
Most Valuable Promotions, the promotion co-founded by Jake Paul and Nikisa Bedarian, posted this on social media. They posted that they were officially canceling the fight, saying Most Valuable Promotions immediately initiated an investigation. No, I had the wrong one. Okay, I'm reading this one. Most Valuable Promotions and Netflix have announced that Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis, the one I was reading was the one from late last week, originally scheduled for Friday, November 14th at the Kaseya Center in Miami, Florida, will no longer be moving forward. Quote, "Our team has worked closely with all parties to navigate this situation responsibly," said Nikisa Bedarian, CEO of MVP. "While we will not be moving forward with this event, our plan remains for Jake Paul to headline an event on Netflix in 2025. And that is what I'm hearing as well. They want him to fight in December. That is the hope. And they're actively looking for a opponent. More on that in a moment. Details regarding a new date, location, Jake's opponent, and additional bouts will be shared as soon as they are finalized. We thank Netflix, Kaseya Center, Seminole Hard Rock and Hotel and Casino for their partnership. Then there's some information about, fans who purchase tickets. You can see all of this online. I did speak to Nikisa briefly, and I've seen some people say like, hey, and this was his take. Like, I asked him two questions, basically, like, did this have anything to do with the ticket sales? He said this was going to be a very, very successful event for them financially. And the other thing was like, Tank Davis has a checkered past. He had a checkered past when this fight was made. What changed? Well, obviously, 2 incidents, allegations, lawsuit. Since the fight was announced, they at the time felt like this was an opportunity for people to learn about who Tank Davis is, for him to show the world that he was a changed man, all this stuff and more. And that didn't happen, and they felt like they had to cancel the event. For the record, I feel like this was 100% the right call. You can't be a promotion that is so heavily invested in women's boxing and work with a guy who has allegations and lawsuits pending.
Inside the boxing community, a question lingers. Why has Gervonta Davis remained silent amid the accusations? Commentators argue that silence in times like these only deepens public doubt. If Davis truly believes he's innocent, many say he should have publicly addressed the claims. Instead, his silence has fueled skepticism and driven sponsors away. Legal experts believe his lawyers may have advised against speaking to the media, but that restraint has come at a cost. In boxing, one analyst said, "Image is everything." Even if you're not guilty, perception can destroy your career. With networks distancing themselves and fans turning away, Davis' reputation now hangs in limbo, proof that in the age of entertainment, boxing's silence can be as damaging as guilt.
And it's really she said, because as of me recording the video, I haven't even heard Tank or his team respond to these said allegations, right? And some people will say, oh, but he has these allegations in the past. The last time I checked, we have Miranda rights. They say guilty, they say innocent until proven guilty, but we know, especially for black men in America, it's really the opposite. For most people, but definitely black people, right, is guilty until proven innocent. Like, you have to prove that you didn't do what's being leveraged against. And this is not copping pleas for Gervonta Davis. This is merely the truth, right? These are allegations. And from a business perspective, I understand, and I've told you in the past, companies, big corporations and companies, S-corps and big companies that are worth billions and trillions like Netflix, they are not trying to get their hands dirty. There's no one person that is perhaps big enough for them to ultimately mess up their money and basically allow a snowball effect in what they got going, right? They're not going for that.
Brendan Schaub calls Jake Paul's challenge to Francis Ngannou a circus act disguised as a fight. He says it makes even the canceled Tank Davis matchup look reasonable by comparison. Jake thrives on spectacle, Schaub explains. But this time, the spectacle might cross a line. Ngannou isn't just a big name. He's one of the most feared punchers alive, capable of ending fights in seconds. Putting a YouTuber against him, Schaub adds, isn't sport, it's show business. He acknowledges Jake's hustle and promotional genius, but insists there must be a limit. At some point, it stops being boxing and starts being reckless. He warns Ngannou, power is not for entertainment, it's for destruction.
Versus Pacquiao, part 2.
Hate it.
It's like actually in the works.
Hate it.
2026, okay.
And Jake Paul's looking for a new opponent for Gervonta Davis, right? Yep. Gervonta Davis, dude, bud. Quit getting in fucking trouble, dude. How many times? You ever look at his rap sheet? What the fuck, dude?
He sent an offer to Ryan Garcia.
That'd be interesting. God, who the fuck's going to take that on about a week's notice? Might be 2 weeks. Is it the 12th?
So it's supposed to be the 14th.
Today's the 3rd. You have 11 days. To find a replacement, I've canceled Francis and Nate Diaz are 2 of the Francis?
That'd be ridiculous, obviously.
That would be awesome. The Nate Diaz would eat shit on there. They've already fought, and it still didn't do great. I mean, if Nate wants to get paid, get your bag, dog. I get it. Francis would be fucking wild. Oh, it says other names are Ryan Garcia. I could see him doing it. Terrence Crawford?
No way.
Francis is I'd love to see Francis, Jake. If that bad boy's an actual box.
That's for today. Video subscribe for more.